You know how the old saying goes, it go down in the DMs. Well, when it comes to hockey news, I feel like the most interesting and peculiar stories that normally get a lot of people talking usually go down and get published in European sports outlets, whether it's Finnish articles or Swedish articles or Russian articles like the ones we're looking at today. These are the sources where it goes down the most. These are where people get the most controversial ideas for hockey news because, oh, they're saying this player's requesting a trade. Oh, they're saying this player's involved in drama. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with the local journalistic platforms in the countries wherein these players are from, but this one right here is going to be one of the more interesting ones. So let's head over onto matchtv.ru, a Russian sports outlet, where we're going to talk about Washington Capitals forward Evgeny Kuznetsov. The reason Kuznetsov is in the news is because the 30-year-old forward, 6'1", 205 left-handed center, signed till the end of 2025, making $7.8 million a year, is having what some people would say is a quote-unquote down year. He's at 53 points in 73 games played, 12 goals, 41 assists, so he's on pace for a total of 58 points on the year, which isn't bad. It's just for Kuznetsov, the guy has been a point-per-game player for the majority of the past few seasons, posting up multiple 70-point years. There was an 80-point year in there too. So for Kuznetsov, a sub-60-point season would technically be a disappointment when you compare it to the overall body of work he has had the past few years. This is where we take a look at an article on matchtv.ru. Evgeny Kuznetsov has been asking Washington for a trade for 2 years. This article was published by Leonid Zakhvatov, and I will leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this article. However, beware, it is in Russian. So what I did was I right-clicked and I clicked Translate to English on the Google machine, so we can read what it is that is being written about here in our language, or at least in my language. As it became known to Match TV, Washington forward Evgeny Kuznetsov wants to leave the club of his own free will. On Friday, the North American media reported that Washington could trade Kuznetsov in the offseason. However, as it became known to Match TV, Kuznetsov himself has been asking the Capitals for a trade for at least 2 years through his agent. Previously, Washington was not ready to do this. This season, Kuznetsov scored 52 points in 72 games, and he's got a minus 18. Washington, with a certain degree of probability, will not get into the playoffs. The team takes 10th place in the Eastern Conference, losing to Pittsburgh for the fight in the wildcard position by 4 points. And so this is a pretty big deal. Russian journalistic platform going out there responding to the Evgeny Kuznetsov trade rumors by saying, nah, bro, we're pulling the Uno reverse card on you. Guess what? The guy's been wanting to be traded for years. Yeah, take that. If you trade Kuznetsov, that's what he wants. He's wanted to leave the Washington Capitals. Now, for the past few seasons, Kuznetsov still has been pretty good. I mean, we said last year he had 78 points in 79 games played. However, 2 seasons ago, he did have a 29-point year in only 41 games. So that was probably the one bad year out of all the previous years he has had, if you want to exclude this one, which, I mean, this year he isn't even really performing all too poorly when it comes to pure points. So it is intriguing to note that this is the case. Now, to expand on this further, we're going over onto RussianMachineNeverBreaks.com because a few days ago they published an article going over the Kuznetsov trade request, and it highlights the same article on Match TV that we had talked about, but it also talks about this. The news comes as The Athletic's Tarek El-Bashir published a mailbag article revealing the Caps decision-makers are disappointed in Kuznetsov's season and that trust is broken between the two parties. There has also been reported friction between the two sides in the past. According to TSN insider Pierre LeBrun, the Caps were exploring a trade of Kuznetsov during the 2021 offseason after he began to irritate some members of the organization. Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman added that he believes the Caps were running out of patience with Kuznetsov after he and netminder Ilya Samsonov were late to a team meeting. Kuznetsov would soon after be placed in protocol and miss the start of the playoffs. And this is kind of why I like this article on Russian Machine Never Breaks, because not only does it go over the history, it talks about The Athletic, it talks about TSN, it talks about Sportsnet. It also links everything too, so if you wanted the full, extended, no-holds-barred look at Kuznetsov and the Rumours, then hey, Russian Machine never breaks. All the articles are available via HTML linking, so just open up this article and click the little blue text. This is what Capitals GM Brian McClellan said about these reports. "I think we're always open to trading people if it makes sense for what's going on, if it makes our team better," McClellan said in 2021. "I don't think anybody's off the table. We're not going to trade Ovi or Backy, those types of people, but you have to be open on anything. So we would talk to anybody about any player." The article then goes over the context. Oh, Kuznetsov's no longer on the top line. Kuznetsov's no longer on the top power play. Dylan Strome has taken over that, which, by the way, he's been doing very well in that role, so good on Dylan Strome for reviving his career. I think he might deserve a video of his own in the next few days here. But for Evgeny Kuznetsov, it's interesting to see how this has been the development here. Because as we've seen out of the past few seasons, Kuznetsov is still pretty good. It's just this season, with a limited role, he's not able to do the same things he'd been able to do in the past. And that's fair. You know, like, oh, there's a good player in Dylan Strome that's arguably playing better than Kuznetsov, so give him the minutes. Makes sense. It's just for Evgeny Kuznetsov himself, I mean, okay, he's mostly known as being the top center on this team. Backstrom has been in and out of the lineup and not really as good as he had been like 10 years ago, for example. So Kuznetsov was supposed to be that guy to take over, and he had been. But now, since he's no longer in that role, apparently, according to this Russian article, he is wanting out. And it doesn't specifically say that as the reason, but you could kind of connect the dots to see what's going on here. Ultimately, though, when it comes to Kuznetsov asking for a trade, he still is a talented player. It's just, it's going to be tough to move a guy making $7.8 million against the cap for the next 2 seasons, because that's a lot of money, straight up. Sure, if he goes out there and gets you 70 to 75 points on a season, it's worth it. It's not like he's overpaid. It's just, what team is going to go out there and, firstly, be able to free up that type of money, and secondly, actually be able to use Kuznetsov in a viable way? You can't send him to a rebuilding team, for example, because, I mean, Kuznetsov's 30. You don't want to go out there and put him in the smack dab middle of a rebuild. Plus, he's got a no-trade clause, a modified no-trade clause, so he kind of has some control over where he goes. This would need to be done to some sort of a playoff team, a team near the top of the race, a team that could use Kuznetsov for the next 2 seasons and say, hey, we're a Stanley Cup playoff contender, and we want you to be our top guy heading into the postseason, because we know you're capable of that. You had led the Capitals in playoff scoring for the past few years, and you're still talented. It's just for those teams at the very top, seldom do they have that $7.8 million available to spend, and even if they wanted to make a trade to free up that type of money, it would really have to depend on the return, because, I mean, Kuznetsov's a valuable player. I have no idea what a return would even be. Multiple draft picks, multiple prospects, you'd have to get some salary going back the other way too. Do you do the third team involved thing to get some salary retained and make it cheaper for some other team to acquire Kuznetsov? Who really knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire Kuznetsov trade situation, how he's reportedly asked out, and he has been asking out for the past 2 years. Links in the description to the Russian Machine Never Breaks article, as well as the regular Russian article on the website. Everything you're going to need is on that Russian Machine Never Breaks piece. So the Sportsnet Elliot Friedman hit the TSN Pierre LeBrun comments, as well as the Athletic article. But let me know your thoughts either way in the comment section about Kuznetsov and the situation. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.